Okay, so tongue. So we know like now the question is describe tongue under following headings. That means macroscopic appearance, nerve supply, lymphatic drainage, development. Macroscopic in the sense when you look with your eyes, what are its gross features? Any you have to write this better. Okay. So this is the
Okay.
dorsal surface, dorsum of the tongue. Under surface is the ventral aspect of the tongue. When you look at this tongue, we have base, then tip. Whole of the tongue is divided into two parts, oral part,
Mm.
pharyngeal part. Both of them are separated by means of a sulcus, which is sulcus terminalis. In front of the sulcus, this is anterior two-thirds part, which is rough. It is quite rough because it is covered by stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Okay, then it is also rough because it has so many papillae. Like what are the various types of papillae we have? Filiform, fungiform, foliate, and circumvallate papillae we have in the anterior two-thirds. Posterior one-third is the pharyngeal part, and the pharyngeal part will have lot of lymphoid tissue, which is actually called as lingual tonsil. As you move more behind, you will see there are two folds at the lateral aspect of the pharyngeal part. Anterior fold is palatoglossal arch, posterior fold is palatopharyngeal arch. Between palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal arches, we have palatine tonsil. Okay, beta? So this is
Mm.
sulcus terminalis, this is foramen cecum, these are
Mm.
circumvallate papillae. So these are the points which you are supposed to write when you talk about dorsum. When you talk about
Mm.
the ventral aspect of the tongue, so when you just lift your tongue, there will be a fold of mucous membrane in the midline, which is called as frenulum linguae. Frenulum linguae. On either side of frenulum linguae, we have lingual vein, deep lingual vein, and the mucosal folds on either side of deep lingual vein, we have plica fimbriata. Plica fimbriata. Okay. Now,
Mm.
after this, what we see, these are the gross features. In fact, when he is asking gross features, you need not talk about because already your paper is lengthy, no, beta. So extrinsic and intrinsic muscles, he has not asked. But anyhow, in another
Mm.
question, it may be asked like what are intrinsic in the sense within the tongue they start and they end. You call them as intrinsic muscles.
Mm.
We have superior and inferior longitudinal muscles and transverse muscles. Okay, beta.
Mm.
Apart from that, nearby bones also will give origin to the muscle and it goes to the tongue. Like for example, from hyoid bone to the tongue, we have hyoglossus. From genial tubercles of the mandible bone, we have genioglossus. From styloid process, we have styloglossus. From hard palate, you have palatoglossus. Okay, beta. So like
Mm.
that, you have four muscles which are from outside nearby bones and controlling the movement of tongue. Okay. So the nerve supply of these muscles is coming from which hypoglossal nerve, isn't it? Now after that,
Mm.
we need to know the nerve supply, lymphatic drainage, and development. Okay. The lymphatic drainage, you just check this picture better, it becomes easy. And this one is much more easy. See here, this is the tip of the tongue, and tip of the tongue is directly draining here. That is submental group of lymph nodes below chin. Okay,
Mm.
and see, oh, like most of the part of the dorsum of the tongue is draining into submandibular group of lymph node, and pharyngeal part of the tongue is draining into deep cervical group of lymph nodes. Okay, then
Mm.
if you just recollect the development, I'll check if diagrams are given bit of a development. Ah, yes, but like we have first arch, second arch, third arch, and fourth arch. So first
Mm.
arch, you will see two lingual swellings will be developing. Then there will be tuberculum impar. Then hypobronchial eminence, which will be further subdividing into two. Second arch will not be
Mm.
participating. These four arches will grow and they lead to the formation of complete tongue. Okay.
Okay.
Huh. So now coming to the nerve supply of tongue, this picture is quite good, better. See, we know this is sulcus terminalis. Okay, behind the sulcus terminalis, this pharyngeal part of the tongue, it is supplied. General sensation and taste sensation is coming from internal laryngeal nerve, which is a branch of vagus. Okay,
Mm.
then a part of it is also supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve, which is also for general sensation of and taste. Then overall taste sensation of the tongue is carried by cauda tympani, which is special sensory nerve for taste beta. General sensation is always fifth one, trigeminal. General
Hmm.
sensation by lingual. Lingual is one of the branches coming from the mandibular subdivision of trigeminal. Taste
Hmm.
sensations, special taste sensations will go by cauda tympani. Okay, muscles of
Hmm.
tongue are supplied. Just now I told you hypoglossal nerve. Only
Hmm.
palatoglossus is supplied by vago accessory complex, partly by vagus and partly by accessory, cranial part of
Hmm.
accessory. Okay, beta.
Hmm.
Now, in order to understand this, again, you see here like comparison of the parts of the tongue. No, this is not okay. In embryology book, for our convenience, we will have what are the pharyngeal arches which are involved in the table. You have the first pharyngeal arch. Okay, which nerve we will
Hmm.
have lingual nerve, no? First arch, mandibular nerve. Second arch, cauda tympani, facial. Like that, you have
Hmm.
the distribution. You can see better. Okay,
Hmm.
just refer. See embryology textbook. You will have beautiful picture for development. You will have beautiful table to show from which pharyngeal arch the part of the tongue has developed. Hence, which nerve is supplying it.
Hmm.
Okay, beta.
Okay.
Development that finishes first answer. Then interpedunculaar fossa. We'll go with head and neck questions first, beta.
Yes, ma'am.
Interpedunculaar fossa. Where do we see, beta? Interpedunculaar fossa in the brain, base of the brain.
Peduncles. Yes, ma'am.
Huh? Okay. Even if you don't answer, you start thinking, no? That itself
Hmm.
will create so much of memory in your brain. Arey, I could not
Okay, ma'am.
answer. That's the reason you will remember more.
Okay. Ma'am, you've sent me question papers, no, ma'am. So these are like the pehle wale, no, ma'am. From beginning, you're sending me, right?
Ha, yes, beta. From today onwards, beta. Whatever I'm sending,
Okay.
you just focus on those papers.
Okay. मतलब बीच में से नहीं भेज रहे ना, like everything I should cover. So
From today, you start the count for 15 days. You will be finishing
okay.
one set. 15 days, you will be finishing another set. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ठीक है, ma'am.
Okay, base of the brain, I'm checking. Diagram, interpedunculaar fossa. Vishram Singh has given beautiful diagram. Okay, we will manage with this only, beta.
Okay.
Okay, first I'll take you to this picture. This is optic nerve. Okay, this is optic chiasma.
Mm.
Optic nerve is cut, and this is optic tract. Okay, and this is midbrain. So, and these are the temporal lobes of the brain. Now you are finding there is an area like this, beta. This is one
Mm.
cerebral peduncle. This is one more cerebral peduncle. Between the two cerebral peduncles, you are finding a depression where I'm focusing the arrow. That area is nothing but interpeduncular fossa. Okay.
Mm.
So the anterior boundary of interpeduncular fossa is optic nerve, optic chiasma, and optic tract. The posterior boundary is midbrain, and laterally you will see the temporal lobes. Okay. Then
Mm.
the contents of interpeduncular fossa are you are finding mammillary bodies, posterior perforated substance. Okay, beta.
Mm.
So this is interpeduncular fossa. Now, the interpeduncular fossa diagram, you have any special neuroanatomy book beta other than Chaurasia? In fact, Chaurasia is more than enough.
Vishram Singh, ma'am. You
Take
said
Vishwan Singh only
the
for diagram.
what, ma'am? Okay, ma'am. Only for diagrams, huh?
Only for diagram because interpeduncular fossa you check from index behind
Okay.
and
Okay,
you
ma'am.
just draw the picture from there because all labelings are given perfectly there beta. And you can
Okay,
put
ma'am.
answer in
Like,
your own words.
okay, ma'am. Like, I don't have that special neuroanatomy Vishram Singh book. Like the
अच्छा,
normal
अच्छा.
textbook I have it.
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that is also equally good.
Okay.
That is वो भी
Okay.
बहुत अच्छी है.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So okay. I'm checking if brain stem. Yeah, beta. Even this picture also helps us to understand. Yeah, this one. Interpeduncular fossa, beta. Emma.
Mm-mm.
This one. This
Okay.
is the close-up view. You may not get the concept from this picture. The previous picture has given you the concept, right? You're finding
Mm.
only optic tract, no? Optic chiasma, optic nerve,
Mm.
optic chiasma, optic tract. This is,
Mm.
isn't it? You're finding
Yes, ma'am.
midbrain, anterior
Brain.
border of midbrain. You're finding mammillary
Mm.
bodies, posterior perforated substance. Apart from that, you are able to see pituitary gland, tuber
Mm.
salarium. You're also finding the cranial nerves, oculomotor, and trochlea, third and fourth. These are
Okay.
two cerebral peduncles, crus cerebri. This is
Mm.
one, this is one more. This whole thing.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, beta. So that's
Okay,
what
ma'am.
you can follow. This diagram is also equally good, beta. You can make a note.
Mm. Okay.
Mm. Flora fourth ventricle. Flora fourth ventricle. What do we see, beta, in flora fourth ventricle? Where do we see flora fourth ventricle? Yeah.
Below the
See here.
hypothalamus.
Behind the
Behind the hypothalamus.
see here, beta. See, this whole thing is brainstem, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This is midbrain, this is pons, and this is medulla oblongata. The one which is resting in the on the skull bone is the ventral aspect, and the one which is behind is the posterior or dorsal aspect. So the posterior aspect of the brain stem, this green line, is nothing but the floor of fourth ventricle.
Okay.
Fourth ventricle is a space which is seen behind the brain stem and under surface of cerebellum. Below
Okay.
cerebellum and behind brainstem, whatever tent like space which is filled with CSF is nothing but fourth ventricle. Is
Okay,
that
ma'am.
okay, beta?
Okay, ma'am.
Now, if you just remove the cerebellum, you have
Mm.
cut the cerebellum now. These are the
Okay.
cerebellar peduncles, superior, middle,
Okay.
inferior. You have removed it. Okay,
Mm.
now you are seeing the posterior surface of pons and posterior surface of medulla oblongata, which is nothing
Mm.
but floor of fourth ventricle.
Okay.
Okay, but now you are finding there is one horizontal partition which is dividing. This upper
Mm.
half is pons and lower half is medulla oblongata. The upper
Mm.
half you are finding posterior aspect of pons. The features what we see is facial colliculus,
Mm.
above which you are finding this whole midline fold is the dorsal median sulcus beta.
Pelvic. Mm.
On either side of this dorsal median sulcus, elevated area is medial eminence.
Okay.
Okay, and as you go up, you are finding some bluish area which is called as locus ceruleus.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then
Mm.
this area we will have underlying cranial nerves. That's why facial colliculus. This area will have
Mm.
vestibular,
West.
eight cranial nerve.
Tubular.
That's why
Mm.
vestibular
Yes, ma'am.
area. When you come
Mm.
down, that is the posterior aspect of medulla oblongata.
Middle.
We have
Mm.
hypoglossal trigone, vagal
Mm.
trigone. Okay,
Mm.
then this area is vestibular area.
Okay.
Okay, now then this like you are finding this midline fold is continuing lower down better. What do we call this
Mm.
as? Dorsal
Dorsal sulcus.
very
Median
good,
sulcus. Mm.
median sulcus. So whatever features we have found here, and this actually the lower
Mm.
part of this
Mm.
posterior aspect of the medulla oblongata is like nib of an ink pen.
Mm. Yes,
This
ma'am.
area is area postrema obex. So
Mm.
because it looks
Okay.
like nib of an ink pen, it is called as calamus scriptorius. You write the script.
Yes,
Script
ma'am. Okay.
calamus scriptorius. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever
Okay.
features I have discussed is written in the floor of
Mm.
fourth ventricle. You need not read complete answer for now for today. Okay, we
Okay,
will
ma'am.
go slowly only. Whatever has been asked, I am giving you concepts wherever it is required. Where exactly it
Okay.
is, how it is formed, what does it contain. You know everything. So you read
Okay.
what is there for now. Okay,
Mm.
because this is something like you are going in a shortcut to gain very good marks. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
many questions from neuroanatomy he gave. Next question is commissural fibers.
Oh,
See, so many
okay.
questions just for 50 marks. Bechare students, how can they do better?
Yes, ma'am.
October 2003 paper this is.
Oh, okay.
Sad, poor thing. If they have skipped neuroanatomy thinking only one question comes, then very sad. Okay, but do you remember what are commissural fibers?
Yes, ma'am. Between the two, between the two cerebral hemispheres, the
Excellent.
fibers
Very
run.
good. Very good. Commissural fibers. Very good. So what is the largest commissural fiber we have?
Corpus callosum.
Yes, Peter?
Corpus callosum. Corpus callosum,
Excellent.
ma'am.
Excellent. Okay. Can you name the other commissural fibers till I open the answer? Cerebrum I should go to. We are here. Yes. What are the other commissural? Like you said, largest one is corpus.
Corpus callosum.
Yeah, very good. Anterior commissural fibers, posterior commissural fibers, habenular fibers, hippocampal fibers. Wherever we
Okay.
have the connections between the right and left cerebral hemispheres, we use the word commissural fibers, right?
Mm.
Okay. Let us see the list and you need to elaborate corpus callosum with this. What are the parts of corpus callosum? Head, head,
Fornix, body.
like there is rostrum, genu, body.
Uh, uh, Fornix.
Fornix is lower part better.
Okay.
Rostrum, genu, splenium.
Right. Okay.
We will see once. Ayo, where beta? Sometimes these are functional areas. Dancephalon. Is it given in another chapter, beta? As far as I remember, here only. White matter.
Same.
Yes, in the white matter. These are the commissural fibers.
Okay.
As you said, these are connecting right and left cerebral hemispheres. And the largest one is corpus callosum. Okay, anterior commissure. It is found on the anterior end. It is connecting the olfactory bulb area. That is called as archipelalia. So, one part you can remember, anterior part of temporal lobes. Posterior, at which point, whichever you are familiar with, like superior colliculus, at that point we have this. Okay. Then commissures of fornix, that is hippocampal commissure we have at the level of hippocampus. Habenular commissure. At the level of habenular nuclei, we have these commissural fibers. Now, just after giving the definition, you have to talk about corpus callosum. See, these are the parts: rostrum, genu, then body, our trunk, and then splenium. These are the parts of corpus callosum. Okay, and if you remember the position, see, this is our corpus callosum. This end, wherever it is folding on itwards downwards, this is anterior end. This is rostrum, genu, body, and then splenium, right? So the under surface of the corpus callosum is closely related to lateral ventricle. When you talk about lateral ventricle, almost all relations will be related to lateral ventricle, because lateral ventricle, it will have anterior horn, central part, posterior horn, and inferior horn, right? So the under surface of corpus callosum is related to which structure? Lateral,
Lateral ventricle.
lateral ventricle. Okay. Now we have certain 437 page. That's what one page is missing better here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm checking. Where is corpus callosum? You have to talk about the connecting white matter fibers also. Better, we have forceps major and forceps minor, which are connecting
Okay.
the right and left parts of the cerebral hemispheres, which are seen in different parts of corpus callosum. Just go through it. Will be
Okay.
given in your textbook. Okay, forceps
Okay.
major and forceps minor. Okay, then let us see the next question. See, one more neuroanatomy question. Ligamentum denticulatum. Ligamentum denticulatum. Do you remember, beta? The definition at least?
I think it's a part of pia matter.
Excellent. That's why I told you, you already know the subject. You need to just study now.
Okay.
Ligamentum denticulatum. These are the extensions of pyometer, no?
Yes, ma'am.
184 page. Okay. Pyometer, which is piercing the arachnoid and dura, and then coming and attaching to vertebral column. That means interior of the vertebral foramen. That is, we have 17 pairs such. 184, I said right, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
It will be given in the chapter spinal cord. Yes, this is the picture. Ligamentum denticulatum. As you said, these are expansions, pyomater extensions. Okay, this is dura mater, and this blue is arachnoid. So it is piercing arachnoid, and then it is piercing dura, and it will come and it will get attached to the inside of the vertebral body. Okay, beta? So that is ligamentum denticulatum. Okay,
Okay.
triangular tooth-like processes. Okay, 21 such processes we usually find. Okay, so that is ligamentum denticulatum. Then coming to that finishes the head and neck questions, beta. You have development of thyroid gland. We will see from this book only because diagram will be there. From the floor of the mouth, just now from the tongue you have seen foramen cecum, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There you will see the one duct will be growing downwards, that is thyroglossal duct. Okay, the thyroglossal duct comes down to meet the pharyngeal arches, third and fourth pharyngeal arches, which expand to form right and left lobes of thyroid gland, and the connecting area will be called as isthmus. Okay, downward growth, what you find is thyroglossal duct. Comes and joins the pharyngeal pouches, third and fourth. They expand to form the two lobes, and connecting area is isthmus. Okay. After that, you have to talk about abnormalities like right lobe may not be formed sometimes, left lobe may not be formed sometimes, isthmus may be missing. Okay, so there is an like from the isthmus usually there is one like pyramidal lobe, if you remember. So continuation of that pyramidal lobe, higher up there is thyroglossal duct, the remnants levator glandulae thyroidae. The basic position of thyroid gland is it is lying below the hyoid bone, almost over the thyroid cartilage. But sometimes during its descent, it may be not coming completely downwards, it may be stuck. Sometimes in the tongue itself, sometimes it may be suprahyoid, anywhere. So, but as long as it is releasing hormones, patient will not come to us with any problem. Though it may be intralingual thyroid or suprahyoid thyroid. Infrahyoid thyroid is normal position, beta. Okay?
Okay.
Just refer one embryology book, you will easily understand. Did you understand what I told you just now?
Yes, ma'am. The normal position is infrahyoid thyroid.
Ha.
Okay.
Development also. Thyroglossal duct comes down.
Yep.
Ha. Okay. Okay, beta. Superior oblique muscle action, beta. This is 2 marker. What does it do? It depresses and abducts the eyeball. Okay. Only 2 marker it is.
Okay.
Okay. What are the bones which are forming septum of nose, beta? Bones. Nasal septum. Just try to recollect, beta. Nasal bone is there, no? Frontal bone is there, vomer is there, palatine bone is there. Nearby bones, we have septal cartilage, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Nose chapter. I hardly find if I go like this. Yeah. Just one diagram is there. Just see the labelings, practice it. That is nasal septum beta.
Okay.
ये वाला. So what are we finding? Perpendicular plate of ethmoid bone, vomer bone, septal cartilage, frontal bone, nasal spine, cribriform plate of ethmoid. Okay, beta? This has come for 2 marks. That means for you it will be for 3 marks. What are the
Okay.
bones only is asking, not even cartilage.
Okay.
Then we have next question, axilla. That means now we have to go with upper limb book. Very less questions he gave from upper limb, as you should have seen now, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Whole paper has come from head and neck and neuroanatomy. So we cannot take things light, no? You just
Yes,
read
ma'am.
papers, that's enough better.
Yes, ma'am. The ones which you're sending, you started sending from 2003 paper, right now?
Ha, whatever I send regular basis,
Okay.
you read those more than enough.
From today, ma'am.
Yeah, from today.
Those papers, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, 46 page. If you have Falcon with you, you only send papers to me, beta. What is there? So that there will not be overlap. Falcon or Usmania, beta.
I have Falcon, ma'am. You tell me.
So first of all, we should know the boundaries of axilla, beta. Okay. So boundaries of axilla mein, this is anterior boundary and this is posterior. This is completely actually the apex ki boundaries hai, and this is walls of axilla. First I will tell you the walls of axilla. Anterior wall is formed by, what are the muscle you see in the thoracic cage? Pectoralis major,
Major.
pectoralis minor, है ना? Anterior wall
Yes.
will be formed by, ये वाला diagram it will help you to understand बेटा. ये anterior boundary है. You will see pectoralis major, है ना? Behind which you have pectoralis minor and subclavius, ये anterior boundary. पीछे
Okay.
below scapula we have subscapularis, teres major, latissimus dorsi. This is behind. So now you know two boundaries. You know the anterior boundary, you know the posterior boundary. If you just palpate, if you just allow your hand to just move up, that area is actually called as apex. So apex is where you are palpating and you are trying to insert your hand. So the plane where our fingers are getting like inside, okay, that area will be apex. So we have boundaries for apex also. Anteriorly we have middle one third of the clavicle, medially the outer border of the first rib, and posteriorly the superior border of scapula. This is apex. And base is formed by skin, where lot of hair, sebaceous and sweat glands are there. Okay. And lateral wall is formed by nothing but convergence of anterior and posterior walls. Okay. Lateral wall is formed by convergence of anterior and posterior walls. And medial wall, you are finding the ribs, upper first 4 ribs. Okay, beta? So these are the boundaries we have. Okay. So you just read once, you will definitely come to know the boundaries. Once you were dissecting axilla, you should have seen lot of fat was coming out. Then when we have dissected, you have seen axillary artery was there. We saw so many cords of brachial plexus, no? Anterior, like lateral cord, medial cord, posterior cord of brachial plexus, and so many nerves coming out from the brachial plexus. If you just recollect that dissection memory in the dissection hall, when you were doing axilla, a lot of fat. In fact, I was there with you, isn't it? Lot of fat we have just taken out. Axillary group of lymph nodes, round things were coming out. One artery was there. It was accompanied by 2 veins. Those are nothing but vena commitants. And thicker ones were cords of brachial plexus. So you should have something in your mind while you are studying. It makes your learning easy and interesting better. So that's what I was trying to recollect for you. Contents of axilla, axillary artery and its branches, axillary vein and tributaries, then infraclavicular part of brachial plexus. Okay, beta? Axillary group of lymph nodes. And the other branches of brachial plexus, we have long thoracic nerve and intercostobrachial nerve. So lot of fat, areolar tissue, which is all the contents are actually embedded in this fat. Okay, so that is about axilla. Now he is asking us axillary group of lymph nodes better in our essay. Note an axillary group of lymph nodes. So this knowledge of axillary group of lymph nodes will also help us to write lymphatic drainage of mammary gland. Okay.
Okay.
Now just look at
Mm.
this picture. What are the various groups we will come to know.
Mm.
Now you are finding one group. This is you are finding this is these are the tributaries of axillary vein. Okay.
Mm.
So you are finding one group of lymph nodes very close to this
Mm.
vein. Okay, you call this as anterior group. Okay,
Mm.
what are the various branches of axillary artery, beta? Axillary artery has three parts, no? First part, second part, and third part. So these
Mm.
are actually the same names we have. Okay, I'll take you to the artery first so that it becomes easy for you. See this branch we have, beta. This is lateral thoracic artery. Along lateral thoracic artery, this one, we have arrangement of anterior group. Okay, then this is thoracodorsal artery. Okay, correspondingly now you should name it as vein. Okay,
Mhm.
so along with this, whatever like nodes you are finding, these are posterior groups. So we have anterior, we have posterior, then we have central. This whole thing is actually drains into like axillary vein, isn't it? So along the
Mm.
axillary vein, we have lateral group. Okay, then axillary vein will drain into brachiocephalic. That means its journey is going
Mm.
like that. As you go much
Mm.
deeper inside, we have apical group of lymph nodes. That means the lymph which is draining from this lateral thoracic and thoracodorsal group of lymph nodes, that is anterior, will move to posterior, posterior move to central, central to lateral, lateral to apical. Okay,
Mm.
finally, whole of the lymph we know it is draining into thoracic duct. Okay, beta.
Mm.
So these are the group of lymph nodes. Very simple. You have few points only. Just practice the diagram. You will understand. Okay, beta.
Mm.
Anterior group along the lateral thoracic vessels. They receive lymph from upper half of the anterior wall of the trunk. That is major part of breast. I told you this is again useful when we do the lymphatic drainage of mammary gland. Okay.
Mm.
Posterior is along subscapular artery is also called as thoracodorsal. That's the reason here it is subscapular word is used. The lymph it is
Mm.
posterior group is receiving from upper posterior wall of upper half of trunk and from axillary tail of the breast. Lateral
Mm.
group it is receiving lymph from upper limb. Okay, central group receives lymph from all preceding. That means from anterior, posterior, and lateral. I already told you this better. Finally, they will move to apical. Finally, the whole lymph will drain into the thoracic duct. Okay, or the
Mm.
right
Mm.
lymphatic duct if it is on right side.
Mm.
Okay, and if there is any infection here, you will see the lymph nodes will be swollen. Okay, lymph angiitis and lymph adenitis. If lymphatic vessels are enlarged, you call it as lymph angiitis, and if lymph nodes are enlarged, you call it as lymph adenitis.
Lymphadenitis.
Actually,
Okay.
lymph adenitis, that means the enlargement of lymph nodes we also find in breast cancer. That's why
Mm.
self-examination of axillary group of lymph nodes is always important as a first criteria to rule out breast cancer. Not only, of
Mm.
course, it is basically infection, but sometimes, but also we find enlargement of these lymph nodes due to metastasis, spread of cancer cells. Okay.
Okay. Mm.
Now you have next question, claw hand better, 2 marker. So there is a carpal tunnel here, isn't it? We know like
Yes, ma'am.
below flexor retinaculum, median nerve is passing. So if there is any
Mm.
infection in the flexor retinaculum, you will see the median nerve will be compressed. Ulnar nerve is going
Mm.
above, median nerve is going below. Suppose if we know median nerve is supplying the lateral 3.5 digits and ulnar nerve is supplying medial 1.5 digits, and suppose if these two nerves are damaged, then you will see there will be flexion at the like distal interphalangeal joints and
Mm.
extension at the proximal interphalangeal joints, which is called as claw hand. Okay.
Mm.
Supinators of forearm. Which is the chief supinator, beta? There is a muscle which is by name supinator.
Supinator.
Along with that, very important muscle we have, which is a strong supinator. Screwing actions are done by that. All engineering. Huh?
Brachioradialis.
No, biceps brachii, beta. Biceps brachii.
Okay, biceps brachii. Okay.
Okay. Then
Okay.
microscopic anatomy of thick skin. Where do we find thick skin, beta?
Thick skin.
Palms and soles, isn't it?
Soles. Yeah.
Palms and soles, we find the thick
Mm.
skin. Okay.
Mm.
So we have certain layers. You just refer one's histology book. We have stratum basale resting on the basement membrane. We have cuboidal cells, okay, which are actually germinal in nature. That means they are multiplying and they are just moving to like surface cells. Okay, stratum basale. Then we have stratum spinosum. Spinosum in the sense spike-like cells. In between them, you will also find keratinocytes. Okay.
Mm.
Then we have stratum granulosum. Above spinosum, we have
Mm.
granulosum. Granulosum in the sense inside the cells we have melanin pigments, very much concentrated, very many. Okay. Then as you move up, we have stratum corneum. Okay, that means gradually now the cells are going to die. And at the top, first we have lucidum, then we have corneum. Okay.
Okay.
CLGS is the code beta from above to below. C is stratum corneum. L is lucidum. Lucidum means here it is like cells without nuclei. That means the cells are dying because corneum layer, stratum corneum is all keratin only, no? Above layer is keratin. उसके नीचे you have lucidum. यानी cells are losing nuclear. नीचे से ऊपर आ रहे बेटा cells. नीचे से ऊपर.
Okay.
तो स्ट्रेटम बेसेल से स्ट्रेटम स्पाइनोजम है, ग्रैन्युलोजम है, लूसिडम है, देन कॉर्नियम है, ऐसा नीचे से ऊपर. ओके बेटा, सो दैट फिनिशेस आवर क्लास नाउ.
Okay.
ओके बेटा, सो वी विल स्टॉप हियर.
Yes, ma'am.